Hi, I'm Amber.
And I'm Jessie.
And this is
Blowing in Tech.
Sponsored by Makers.
Today we have the wonderful Michaela joining us. Michaela, would you like to give yourself a little bit of an introduction?
Yes. I'm Michaela. I'm a software engineer. I work at a cybersecurity startup. And yeah, I'm a career switcher. So yeah, I've switched my career in 2020 and I've not looked back since.
Love that. We absolutely love to see it.
So fun fact, we all did the same boot camp together nearly 2 years ago?
No, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it was 2021.
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
it's 2023.
And we all went our separate ways and we now all work together at the same startup. So we'll be getting into that. But also I wanted to touch on the fact that not only are you a career switcher, but you also teach people who are trying to career switch. How is that?
Yeah, it's really good. There's I started doing it, I think, in my starting from my first role, and it's definitely gotten better and better.
I love that.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from it. It was definitely challenging because I was like, oh no, do I actually know what I'm teaching about? I should look into this further.
Yeah.
So it was a really good push for me to find out a bit more about a specific subject, or just be better at being fluent with talking about technologies, or talking about some specific a specific tool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. So how did you get that teaching gig and what do you teach?
Yeah, so the first teaching gig actually was with Code First Girls, so which I had already done their boot camp before. So I just got in touch and I volunteered. I think they were looking for volunteers. I think they're always looking for volunteers. I think we always could have teachers, right? So yeah, I looked it up. I went for it. I just volunteered, I think, for their HTML and CSS
the Introduction to Web Development course.
That's the one. So yeah, I started with that, and that's quite straightforward. Although there were still moments where I did, find out there's a few other things you could do with HTML actually.
Yeah, it's the questions the students give you, and you're like, wow.
Oh my! But it was really good because actually, I would just be really honest. I'll be like, oh, I actually don't know about this, but you know what? Let's just look it up together, and I'll just
exactly
open a tab and be like, yeah, let's find out. And that actually taught them how it's totally possible to be in the tech industry, not know everything, but you just need the skills to, I think, look it up, and we can do that together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you went on to do another teaching gig.
I forget about this. The other teaching gig, which I was super excited about because I thought it would be definitely a challenge, was to teach React. So that's modern web development. I think that was the course, and that was with Coding Black Females, which I was obviously super excited about. So yeah, I went on to teach React, and that was really cool because, me and Amber know, React is definitely a challenge.
It's so hard.
And you think you know everything. And you're like, yeah, use effects, everything, it's all good. And then you're like, what does it actually do? And then, behind the scenes.
Yeah, under the hood.
Yeah, that was definitely a challenge, but it was really good. And actually, after teaching that course, I feel like I know more. I know more about the theory. And obviously, as you know, I don't have a traditional CS background. I don't have a degree in that. So this was a good time for me to read more and actually challenge myself a bit more, again, with those questions that the students kept asking. So that was...
And solving other students' bugs, right? When people come, when they come to you with a problem and you're like, okay, I should be able to answer this. Or as you were saying, if they come to you with a bug that you don't quite understand, on the fly, it's about showing them how they're able to Google for their own answers and helping them to actually problem solve, which is amazing. But we will be going on to a segment before we delve into Michaela's journey some more. And what will that segment be, Jessie?
It is the Industry Insight in 5. So, Michaela, could you tell us a little bit about this industry and why you find it interesting?
Yes.
If you do.
So, I definitely do. So yeah, I work, in cybersecurity, same with you guys. But it's quite interesting because we focus mostly on the human aspect of cybersecurity, and it's really cool. And what that actually means is that you're looking at the human behaviors and seeing how human behaviors can bring cybersecurity risks.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you know the human behaviors that are actually going to be bringing you risk, you're able to mitigate it. You're able to analyze it, and then see how you can possibly like prevent those. And it's really cool because you end up working with behavior analysts, yes, and you get to read a lot about like how people put themselves at risk. And quite a lot of them, like I can tell you now, I definitely do not know a lot. Like there is a lot out there to read,
Yeah.
There is the technology side, but there's also the human behavior side. So it is definitely super, super wide.
So you joined CyberSafe as a front-end engineer, or was it a full stack role?
Oh yes. So super interesting. I obviously in our bootcamp we did Python, so we were quite focused on that, right?
Yeah.
But I as you all know, I'm a JavaScript girl from before. So I was quite interested in front end, but I was also quite interested to explore backend, and especially because I knew that we had Python in our tech stack. I was quite interested in it, and I wanted to explore it. So I did start off working on front end, and that was super, super great. But now I'm actually exploring backend as well. So
she's a full stack babe.
She's a full snack babe. That is what she's doing. She's doing up front end, she's doing up back end, and we absolutely love to see it.
And the hard stuff too. You work on the integrations team, so like it's not easy.
Oh my god!
Can you walk us through like projects that you can expect, like especially in cybersecurity, because we're not necessarily like cybersecurity engineers, we're still software engineers, but for a cybersecurity startup, I think that's something, at least the questions that I get.
Yes.
Like, oh, what cybersecurity stuff do you do? And I'm like, oh, WASP. Do I, girl? Anyway, but like, can you talk us through like what it's like to work as a software, in the context of being a software engineer at a cybersecurity startup?
So a lot of the times I think, so we spend a lot of time analyzing human behavior. So we track human behaviors, and then of course, well, currently that's actually what I'm working on in the back end right now, is analyzing the data that we get back.
Yeah.
And then feeding that into a behavior
engine.
A behavior engine, and then getting a risk score.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, it's very interesting working with different integrations, because you end up with different types of data, different types of documentation, different types of access. So yeah, it is very, very tricky. On the front end side, I think things that we all end up working on is I guess display of information. So we show a lot of our client customers, reports, make sure that they're actually readable for them. And then one very, very exciting thing for me, accessibility.
Yeah, both of you were on the accessibility squad when you joined.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
You went and completely changed so much that made it accessible, like to a really, really high standard. Like I think you got one of the highest standards an app can meet. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. I guess I should talk about how it kind of started.
Yes.
First of all, by the way, when I joined the company, in the interview, I was asked about accessibility, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I know it's a thing, and like, it's very much a thing, at least for me in my past work and stuff. Like, it's something I've always thought about, and it was always part of my projects. But in tech, I was like, yeah, an alt tag on an image, yeah, sure, and that's it. Like, I actually did not know anything else, but I knew that, yes, of course, it's important, and I knew the reasons it was important. So I talked about that. So yeah, it was actually in this is the first role I've actually thought about accessibility day to day in tech. So while developing, so yeah, when I had joined the company, we were I think we had just had an accessibility audit. So that means that, we found a few places where we could improve. So I was like, oh, perfect. This is a good time for me to learn. Pick up that ticket, the alt, adding the alt tags. I was like, yeah, totally, I could do that. Let's just start with that. And then all the other hard ones, I was like, okay, sure, I'll just pick this up and then call somebody and be like, hey, can you help me? Because I don't actually know how to do this.
Mr. Robbins, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Mr. Morris, you too. I know you're listening. Shout out to you, Stu.
Yeah, that was a really, really good opportunity for me to learn. And I just picked up any old ticket. I was like, I'm just gonna find out how to do it. and just go for it. And I think on a couple of them we've definitely paired on it, haven't we? Struggled through a few as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was actually really, really good to do that, because I was like, okay, I don't want to do these fixes anymore. So how can we make sure that we don't come back to this? So I've definitely put it as part of my, like, when I check for PRs as well in front end, I'm like, oh, is this accessible? Can you tab through everything?
Yeah.
Is there an alt, like, an area label on there? Are things repeated?
It translatable? Like,
Yes.
because that's one thing that I learned. Like, I was like, okay, alt tags, bless, like that's easy. But it's actually making it so that it's translatable. So, like, sometimes an alt tag would be like Jessie sitting in front of a mic.
Yeah.
But like, if they're reading it, if the website's in Spanish,
yes,
they'd see Jessie reading the mic rather than like
it being translated.
Yeah, it being translated in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are like a lot of things to consider. I think that one I don't think I considered it until we were talking about it, and it was one of my tickets. Yeah. And Amber was like, you need to fix this. And I didn't want to, because it was like, oh god, this is actually quite a lot of work. But it was good.
You both really threw yourself in there, and I think it's important, like, the fact that you did that, because it's scary, first of all, but also, like, you chose, I don't know if it was intentional, but you chose projects which gave you a really good exposure to a lot of the code base. Like, you were diving in and out of different places, right? Which is something that can be hard when you onboard.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's hard, but it has to be done, right? And it's about, like, being able to read other people's code and make improvements. And so one thing that our CTO was talking about was leaving the code base in a better position than, like, when you found it. So sometimes, like, our task would be to make a certain bit accessible, but then, like, there are certain parts of this component that could be cleaned up as well, so it wasn't sometimes just doing these tickets. It's also about, like, leaving this component in a better position than you saw it in, and, like, sometimes you get PRs, it's like, I know you didn't write this, but this actually needs to change, which is really cool as well. Like, so I think that one advice I'd give to people is, like, you can also make changes to the component. Like, if you see that certain things may be outdated or there's a better way to do it, you can definitely make those changes.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to talk about the fact that you were actually learning new technologies when you joined. And I wanted the people to, like, get some advice on how that is. Because, for example, like, we did Python, like, and so to go to a role that, for me, like, in my experience, was doing JavaScript and React, and then going to CyberSafe and now doing TypeScript. How did you find it going to a new organization and learning a new technology with a brand new code base and also, like, all the other learning that you're doing? Like, how did you find time for upskilling and just doing all the things?
Oh yeah. So I'll say firstly in the front end, and then I'll also talk about the back end stuff. So for the front end, I thought it was fine. It was challenging, but I was like, oh, okay, like, I know React, so this should be okay. This should be a smooth transition to, TypeScript within React. I thought that's fine. But yeah, the things that I found challenging is the thing I spoke about. So that was the accessibility stuff and just getting used to, like, some of the things that we've implemented. And of course, some of the tools and the third party, like, I guess, there are third-party tools, aren't they? Yeah. Tools that we have in the code base. So just getting used to those as well. And getting used to, I guess, style of code.
Because all code bases are quite opinionated, right? There's like a dominant way for how people write their code. Yeah, you've got to adjust to that. It's hard.
Exactly. That was tricky. And also getting rid of, like, bad habits. That was one thing. I think I was quite happy with my current role now, that we do have really good habits, like testing as well. That's something that I was, like, completely new to, and I was like, oh dear Lord, how is this going to go? And it's like Cypress testing, and then it's failing, and you're like, I don't understand, like, how am I meant to read this? It was just like learning from scratch again. It's like learning how to read errors. So I had to relearn that for Cypress. That was interesting. But with that one, I was very stubborn, and I was like, I'm not doing a tutorial. I'm just gonna let's just see what happens. And then if it's really not working, I'll call somebody and beg for help. Thankfully, people were up for it, and they were able to pair. Again, shout out to Sam Robbins.
Mr. Robbins, wow. Wow.
What a difference a mentor makes. Or like not even a mentor, but someone who's willing to take the time out.
Yeah, exactly. And like something that we've had discussions about is as a junior engineer, like you need that extra support, like to be able to ramp up.
Spoiler for Tech Tea.
Oh, you're right. Sure, let's not talk about that too much. Right for part 2. Because we're going to do all. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Jessie. Yes, we'll be spilling all the tea on that because you know me.
And in the back end, so as you both know, I'm still like kind of getting familiar with Django. I say it's just been like since June, you know. But
hey, I'm nearly 2 years in and I'm still getting familiar with Django. I don't think it's something you ever like understand fully, or I'm not there yet.
Oh, it is hard.
You get it though.
Oh yeah, easy. I did a 24-hour tutorial, mate, on Django. Come to me next time. No,
it's so hard. I think as well, it's not just that it's Django, it's like all the other frameworks that are plugged in, like Django REST framework, and they all have like it's a lot. It's a lot.
So with that one, when I started looking into backend and I joined my new team and we were all working on integrations, people were like, oh, check out Django REST framework and Django and check out the tutorial that they have on their documentation because it's really good. And I was so stubborn. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
I did the same thing. I was like, I don't need to start from zero because it's ego.
Yeah,
it's ego. Like honestly, genuinely,
It actually
just
is.
skip that step.
Yeah, I don't need it.
I was so stubborn, and I remember us talking about this, and I was like, I should not have done that. And the thing that stopped me from it as well was because I was like, no, like I can't come into work, and then I'm just doing a tutorial, like I'm being paid to do something.
I don't want to spend my work hours on a tutorial when really, like, of course you should.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course you should.
Yeah, and I think which is so silly because I did say this in my interview that I did want support, and I did ask them like, oh, what is it with like learning and stuff, like are you gonna give room for that? Like literally I talked about this and I was excited by it, but still I was like, I don't want to take it. But anyway, after asking like a million questions, a week of like pairing with our tech lead, I was like, I think
it's time.
I did it, and all my questions were answered, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Go back to those tutorials. I think as well, it's like it's a good thing to. Sometimes I ask a question to my tech lead, and he's like, "Have you read the docs on it?"
Oh, child!
And it's like, oh, I really should have.
Yeah,
before I came
taking
to
the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like you just need to take the time to read a few docs.
Yeah,
and it's just because that's what the docs are for.
That is what they're
like,
for.
let's deep it right now. That's what the docs are for. But here I am. Just sometimes it is nice to have a person to go through it with, and so I think there's a fine balance of like. Going through it, but like wanting to go through it with someone, but also reading the docs.
Yes.
Like sometimes I'm trying to find some stuff on Cyprus, and the docs. I'm sorry.
No.
If you're someone that does the docs for Cyprus, okay,
No.
let's talk. Because honestly, sometimes with some things you are not doing what you need to do.
Listen, I don't think you're in a position to talk about bad docs because I think Michaela is the one that has suffered through some hours and hours of like trying to understand multiple different integration sources.
I
don't belittle my experience.
No, I'm sure. No, your
I have
experience is valid.
suffered.
You've suffered. But
well, the thing is, I've been on both sides. I have looked at it. I've looked at Cyprus docs, but I have to tell you, the other docs I have seen since joining my new team have been so like they are like just want to make you cry. You look at it and you're like, this cannot be real. Like you look at it, you just how is this like not making sense? And like, why are you not giving me like the data I'm gonna be expecting?
Oh wait, are you someone internal?
No,
external ones.
So plugging into external APIs.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yes.
God, spill the tea. Is this tech tea or what?
I mean, I guess this could be an addition. There are some APIs out there that have been documented, but they have not been documented well enough.
Yeah.
So you look at it, you read it, and they're like, yeah, you can totally get this data, and then they're like, but they won't tell you how you get the data. So you get this like half written kind of docs, which are very interesting.
And then you're having to spend time like just posting and getting data and guessing what's going to come back.
Joking.
Yeah. Yep. So you just sit there, you're just like pressing enter like a million times, just be like, is the data here? Like,
Oh
just
wow, damn.
And
You
these are
got it,
big
you got it
organizations.
best.
Yeah,
Like,
these
honestly,
are-
yeah. Wow.
these are
I'm
big
actually
ones.
surprised. So is this mostly for backend that you're talking about? At least
Yes.
your experience that you're speaking
Yes.
about now.
Yes.
And so what would you say the biggest difference has been, especially like going from a mainly front end role to now incorporating back end? How has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, so I think I talked to Jessie about this once. Yeah, we were chatting about this, and I said, it's so silly to say this, and it's so silly to say this on air as well, but I did not know how much actually you needed to be prepared in like how to read documentation and how to take your notes. I don't know if people are aware of this. Like I've not.
It's a whole skill. It's a separate skill to coding. It's
Definitely something, right? Because you need to be able to know how to do your research. Like, so let's say, project manager says, oh, actually, I know I'm looking into getting X data from this, this third party that we're integrating to. Going around trying to find where that is, like, where do you start? Like, I did not know where to start. So I had to follow around another backend engineer to see how they did it.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of questions because I was like, oh, how do you know where to look in the docs? Like, because documentation is not a joke.
It's massive. It's like hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Right?
So like, where's the video? Where's the audio version for it? Like, sometimes that's what I want.
No,
like,
it would be hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
You're not listening
hundreds
to that.
of hours. Yeah, so
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you search for it? Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes if you're lucky and you get to the right page, you just do Command F and find the word that you want, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But also, what are they calling that data?
Oh, that's a good point. That's such a good point to make.
It's quite tough, but I got used to it. I got used to understanding like how people like divide up their documentation, how the thing is you will learn for X company, but then for Y it's like completely different. So it is very tricky. So you kind of need to be quick and like adapting on and understanding how they do their documentation, and then look for what you need. So yeah, that definitely was like a challenge for me in backend, looking at documentation, but also documenting what you have found and making it easier for the next developer to come in, set up, start Googling what they need, right?
Yeah. I was going through documentation with my former tech lead.
Oh yeah?
And he called me out because I would like skip the first bit. I could go straight onto something. I was like, Amber, like go to that first paragraph. That's gonna be like your starting point. And I was like, when you're already just trying to get to the point.
Yeah,
like,
and you're trying to make these shortcuts that ends up being the longer way to do it.
Mr. Morris, thank you for your patience, because he really taught me. Like sometimes like I'd feel so stressed, like I just want to get this done quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time like reading over this doc. Like it's going to be a waste of my time, especially like my reading capacity. But like sometimes you just do have to slow down.
And it's pressure you're putting on yourself.
Yeah,
right? It's imagined pressure. Nobody's telling you you need to do it quickly, but you're feeling like you're doing it slowly.
Exactly. And because it's that fear of like, I don't want to be the slow one.
Because I'm very slow.
No, she's not slow. She's not slow at all. She's a 10x coder, but that's a whole other conversation. Wow. That's for another episode. But like you just don't want to hold things like it's that like you're pressurizing yourself to deliver and get things straight away. But it's just like the message is, it's no one gets things straight away. Like mine's Jessie, but honestly, like some things just take time, and just to maybe, and this is advice to myself as well. But when you're listening back to this, just remember to take things slow and like read that first paragraph and go from there, because it's so important.
Do that tutorial. Read that first.
Do that tutorial.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think we've come out with two good advice. Tutorial, read that first paragraph in the documentation. Always.
I want to go back a little bit further than where we started and talk about your first role as a software engineer. Oh, actually, even further back than that. Why did you want to be a software engineer?
Oh my God. Right. Yeah, so it's a really weird one because I didn't really have a lot of time to like think about it. I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll try it out. But it all kind of started with so I had just finished my master's in 2019 December. It's like right before poop hit the fan.
Yeah.
So that was like,
and that was in
that was in December 20.
No, but what was the MSc?
Oh yeah. So not even an MSc, MA.
MA.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you were art background. Yeah.
Art background. Yeah. So that was in creative producing. So that had to do everything with like I guess managing theater projects. And sometimes they're not even just like fully theater projects. They can be like community projects and so on. And as a producer, you would I guess overlook the ins and outs of the project, the admin side of it, from applying to funding to carrying it out with other team members. So obviously you would need to find those team members, or I don't know, you probably chatted to a writer and wants to put this play on or this project on. So yeah, very, very different, right? Yeah, and then I had a couple of projects which were really, really exciting, but one by one they kind of just fell through as the pandemic started happening. So I was just sitting at home, just applying to any old job where I can possibly take those skills. And I, while I was doing that, my housemate was just working, and I was like, "What are you doing? Because like, how are you still working? And also, what do you actually do?" Yeah, so I, we talked. I asked her about it. She told me, she's a software engineer, and she just spends her day coding and XYZ. And I was like, wow, that sounds really, really cool. Like, seems like you're doing okay. So maybe I should look into it. And it turns out that she had actually switched careers as well. So she had switched her careers like 3-4 years ago, I think, at that time. So she was a civil engineer, and then she went to software. So yeah, she was like, oh, there are resources out there to get women into tech. So she pointed me to the right direction. I tried it out by myself as well at home. And then, yeah, I started to do the boot camps. And I remember she kept on asking me, she was like, oh, are you actually enjoying the boot camp? Are you enjoying like doing this little project? Because she was so worried, like, because some people do end up like not enjoying it, because it's like really different to the career that you did. But it was good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Wait, so the boot camp that you're talking about, is that the Sky Get Into Tech scheme?
So actually, right before the Sky Get Into Tech, I had done Code First Girls, right?
Yeah.
And then after Code First Girls, I did this like kind of ad hoc React boot camp.
Yeah, that's how, because you joined the Sky Get Into Tech as a React Pro. Remember, Michaela was like,
the JavaScript.
Yeah.
JavaScript.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, help me with the JavaScript. Yeah.
So then it was right after that I got into the Sky Get Into Tech, and then I think a little bit after the halfway point, I started applying for roles, and I had landed my first role. So by the time I finished, I went straight to my first role. Yeah.
And then that was consultancy. So you were working on different projects with different clients. And how come you wanted to move on from that? Like, what was your motivation for? Because a lot of people make that choice, right? They go consultancy or they go product company. I'm just interested in like what you found the differences are.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually that's a really, really good conversation to have, because I wish I actually knew a bit more about what is the difference between working with consultancy, working in product. Like, if I had known, maybe, I'm not actually sure if I would change, but I just would have been a bit more prepared to go into it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize there would be a difference. I was like, oh yeah, a job.
Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to take juniors? Amazing. Love to hear that. Yeah, so I did go into consultancy, and that was that was slightly different. So with that you work with different clients. So that would be the different clients would have different tech stacks. So that's a lot of switching between technologies, different products as well, which is actually really cool if you are starting out and you don't really know much about the tech industry. I thought it was great, because I got to be like, oh, this is what's happening in the world. Cool, I like it. Or like, oh, I actually don't like this side of the industry.
Yeah.
So it was really cool for that. And I also got to try out a few technologies. So that was like mobile development, which I thought was really, really cool. But it was also really, really hard. And I was like, I want to do it again.
You didn't want to do it again?
No, so I had done like React Native.
Yeah.
That was obviously cool because it's JavaScript. I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
But then I had done Kotlin, which is Java based.
Ooh.
And I was like, I cannot write a single line of code by myself. Like, I always needed support. It was very, very tough. And the structure is very tough. And the IDE was another thing.
What IDE was it for Kotlin?
It's JetBrains, isn't it?
JetBrains, but
I love a bit of JetBrains.
Wait.
Wait.
Oh, you need to see Android Studio and then you need to come talk to me.
Okay.
Also, Michaela's beefing with PyCharm. But
Yeah.
You're beefing with PyCharm?
Yes.
I used to love PyCharm. Okay.
I'm a VS Code fan. I'm really sorry, PyCharm. JetBrains, please don't come for me. So yes, I got to explore like different technologies, but it made me realize like what I did like, which was JavaScript and also Python. Like I did want to explore a bit of Python. I never actually got the chance when I was at the consultancy. So yeah, I thought, for me, the consultancy, like the changes from one product to another, like sometimes it could be every month, sometimes it could be like 4 months. It just depends on the project. And sometimes you're at the discovery phase and that bit just has a lot of unanswered questions, and it can be really difficult to develop in that place because you don't really get clear instructions.
Yeah.
I found that really difficult. So yeah, for me, I thought it was better that I actually focus on maybe 1 or 2 technologies, so that either Python and JavaScript with React. So I was looking to just like stay on like one product, and that's one of the reasons I moved over to a product company.
This leads us nicely to the next episode where Michaela will be spilling some tea on what she's just spoken about, but also will be sharing
Michaela's career challenge and how she overcame it or is overcoming it. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Available on all major podcast platforms.